We got over 800 questions this week. So if you want to be in the next Q&A video, post some more down below. And with that said, let's get started. C-Lock asks, is it true your neck size should be the same as your biceps? In my opinion, your neck should be bigger than your arms. This is the best way to look as big as you possibly can without taking drugs. So if your arms are 16 inches, your neck should ideally be around 18 or even more. This idea of having an equivalent ratio, although it might be balanced from a bodybuilding perspective, a competitive sense that is, it's not optimal for making you look massive as a drug-free lifter, which is why I recommend that your neck is bigger, and it will get bigger if you actually isolate it. Let me tell you that the neck responds very well to training, and it grows rapidly. Now I would say this ratio gets more distorted as your arms get more massive, and then when you factor in the height. So if you already have 18-inch natural arms, but you also have an 18-inch neck, that's going to look really good. So guys who have really big arms naturally, they can get away with having a slightly smaller neck in my opinion. But even in those cases, I would still say they would look better with a thicker neck. So if you're a taller man with 18-inch arms, you'll look better with a 19, 20-inch neck. So those are my thoughts on that ratio. Amir Boom asks, what's your opinion on pike push-ups versus military press? I would say both are fantastic movements, but if I could only pick one, it would probably be the military press since it's easier to load and induce progressive overload. Pike push-up is still a very good option, especially if you do it with bars like parallettes. You can do some deep repetitions, and it'll be very challenging, especially with high volume, low rest intervals, and really getting that burn in. So you can get nice shoulders off that. You can even get nice shoulders off handstand push-ups. But if I could only pick one, it would probably be the military press. The Mr. Graphicsable asks, yo, Alex, am I missing out on not buying a bench for my home gym? That depends what your goals are, man. Why did you buy a home gym, and what equipment do you already have? If you already have a power rack and you put a good amount of money into buying that, why not just get a bench to go with it on the side? You can get a cheap one for $100 if you choose to, or even less than that, a used bench, and you're going to be fine. And it gives you a lot more options. You can do incline pressing with it just by elevating it on boxes. You can do flat, decline, and it just makes the training more fun, more flexible. But I suppose if you don't care about bench, you just want to be an overhead press master, or maybe do weighted push-ups and weighted dips. If you have access to that, then that works fine too. So depends what your needs are. I would say it's a good addition for most home gym owners, especially since it's inexpensive, and I think you should get one. But if you don't want to, that's fine. You can even do floor presses. So if you have a power rack, man, you can do floor presses, and you're still going to get that horizontal press in, which is beneficial. So you don't have to get one, but it is recommended. Muscle and Math asks, how long does it take to go from an 80 kilogram pause bench to 100 kilos touch and go? It shouldn't take too long, man. It really shouldn't. Like, depending on your genetics and how fast your linear progression is seizing, I would say like 3 to 4 months, you should be able to get that. Maybe at the max, like 5 or 6, but most guys, it's going to be pretty rapid. When you start getting closer to that 225 mark, it doesn't take that long, man. Now, if you're going from 180 kilo bench to 200 kilo bench, that's a big, big difference. And that can take a long time, but 80 to 100, it's not as big as you think, okay? And you can definitely pull this off in a short amount of time. I think most people can get this in 3 months, to be honest with you. So those are my thoughts on that. Ran asks, hey Alex, me and the deadlift aren't very good friends. I just hate this exercise. It feels so unnatural and uncomfortable to me. Can I simply do high bar squats and hyperextensions for my legs without risking injury due to muscular imbalances? Yeah, you can do that, man. You don't want to pull, and you still want to get some good hypertrophy benefits. Do your squats, do your hyperextensions. I think you'll be fine. If you really want to be optimal, throw in a different deadlifting variation. This way you're still getting that pulling movement pattern in. This could be a block pull, which will do a lot for your lower back, let me tell you. It could even be a behind the back deadlift or a Jefferson deadlift, which tends to be much more favorable in that area. Or it could be the high handle trap bar deadlift. A lot of guys can do that without experiencing any lower back discomfort, because the thing is, the conventional deadlift, there's a huge anthropometry component. Many times it's not muscular weaknesses, it's not mobility. It is your individual leverages. But there are some people who this exercise is not the best for them, and they're better off switching up the style. So maybe change the variation or primarily pull off blocks, and I think that'll be a great addition, as well as doing your squats and hypers and all that. So bodybuilding does not require you to do conventional deadlifts from the ground. That is a real fact. Trend Abuser asks, yo Alex, thoughts on Vince Gironda steak and eggs diet with a weekly carb refeed for cutting? I'm at 10% trying to hit 8. Well, if you're in a calorie deficit and you're at 10%, you're going to try to get to 8, you'll eventually get shredded. If you're losing weight, you're losing weight. And that can be accomplished on many diets, especially if you're hitting your macros. So I have no doubt that you'll be able to get shredded with this approach. Now, in regards to the health complications, I think that this puts you at severe risk for developing heart disease. due to the high consumption of saturated fat and cholesterol, because this is excessive and it will have negative impacts on your blood work. Get some tests done and you'll see. A few days ago, I had a guy tell me that he has a high animal product consumption and that his blood work is completely fine. And someone asked him, well, what's your cholesterol? He's like, oh, it's 180. And he was really proud of that number, not understanding that this puts you at risk for heart disease. You can develop atherosclerosis with a number like that, okay? The thing is, normal cholesterol is actually high cholesterol. This is the problem. It doesn't make you heart attack proof, okay? Ideally, you should be under 150 and even better, under 140. And your LDL should be between 50 and 70, all right? Saturated fat cholesterol, you're driving that through the roof and that'll put you at risk for heart disease. And we can also talk about the animal protein, which raises IGF-1. And we can also talk about the cancer rates in regards to that. And how the ratios of these amino acids in general are not favorable, okay? And the heme iron, we can talk a lot about shit like this, okay? And the thing is, what I'm saying is evidence-based, okay? It's not just me talking out of my ass, unlike a lot of these anecdotal claims that these guys make, okay? Long-living populations thrive on a plant-based diet, minimal animal product consumption. If you're eating steak and eggs every single day in large quantities like you would do in a steak and eggs diet, that's not favorable. And you're removing foods that have been proven to extend human lifespan. Why would you remove foods that are high in antioxidants and phytochemicals and vitamins? Like, why the fuck would you do that? And why would you get rid of foods that have been proven to enhance your longevity in favor of something like this, which is complete pseudoscience bullshit? That's really what it is. So I don't recommend this diet for anyone if your goal is long-term health. On a final note, I would ask the following question. Does this diet reverse heart disease? Of course not. Tim Jordan asks, yo, Alex, I've been lean bulking for a few months now, but I notice my face isn't as defined anymore, even though I'm still lean to see ab veins. I want to do a 1-2 week mini cut just to get some facial definition. Do you think this is a good idea? I'm 17 years old. Well, I'm not a huge fan of teenagers cutting, especially if you're already lean. It sounds to me like you haven't reached a high body fat yet. You're still pretty lean. So it's a little bit of bloat. You might have some water retention. So maybe you should just clean up the diet as a whole and you should do some healthier foods and drink a lot more water, reduce some of that bloat, right? And that can do wonders for the face in itself. Now, if it's because you did gain a bit of body fat and you're just more prone to storing in the face, I'm exactly like you in that regard, then you'll just have to tough it out. Or you could do a very small mini cut of 1-2 weeks, but don't be doing a long cut. Because the thing is, you're only going to get fatter, my friend. If you're on a bulk, you're going to put on those pounds. And that's just what you can expect. And your face will blow up, and it's just the way it is. So if you're scared about that, just go on a lean bulk. So very small calorie surplus. Leave it at like 5-10%. Done deal. As long as you're inducing progressive overload, you're going to be fine. You don't have to be this crazy mass monster in a 20% surplus. Mr. Hedge asks, hey Alex, when I got naturally enhanced at the beginning of August, my overhead press was 145. This previous Monday, I hit a 185 PR. Is this good progress? And did you see similar progress when your OHP was around this weight? My man, that is amazing progress. 145 to 185. We're in freaking December now, okay? So from August to December, you added 40 pounds to your strict press. That is absolutely incredible. And I'm really freaking happy for you. And thank you for sharing with me this information. You're only going to just keep getting stronger and stronger, my friend. So excellent job. Parashar asks, why don't you perform Olympic lifts? I've never seen you doing clean and jerks or snatches. For one, I really don't care about Olympic weightlifting. Never did. I'm not passionate about it whatsoever. It's not my field. On a second note, I'm not really proficient at those exercises. I would definitely 100% need to hire a strength coach. I'm not good at those lifts, right? I probably could be with my mobility and build and all that, but I need to get the form down, which I don't feel like learning. And then on a final note, I just don't think those movements are necessary for me. Sen Ella asks, question, I'm a beginner and I don't want to get big, to be honest. I just want a little muscle like Bruce Lee. Anyway, I want a nice looking butt because my girlfriend likes him. How many pounds should I build up to have decent ass? I'm 6 foot and 74 kilos. All right, man. So first of all, you weigh the same as me at 6 feet. Damn. So I'm not going to comment on that, but you said you wanted the Bruce Lee body, right? Here's what you do. Focus on calisthenics. It seems to me like you're already lean. And the upper body, you probably like what you're working with. So just follow a calisthenics routine, maybe gain a little bit of muscle. That's going to give you the look right there in terms of the upper body, all right? Plus, if you're taller, you're likely going to have a lankier look weighing that much, okay? So calisthenics, upper body, no need for weights. For the lower body, if you want to get your glutes up or just your legs up in general, the fastest way possible, do a lot of squats and deadlifts, man. So if your max right now is 135 pounds, bring it up to 315. Milk your linear gains. By the end of it, you're going to have some amazing looking legs. Check out my video, 3 Truths About Leg Aesthetics, and it details everything you need to know. For a guy like you, I think that's going to work. So focus on your squats and deads and do linear progression on that. Keep it basic. And you can even add other stuff on the side, like maybe some glute bridges or hip thrusts or pull throughs or bang good mornings, or even stuff like reverse lunges. Those tend to be quite effective. So for the upper body, do some calisthenics, lower body, linear progression, weighted stuff for optimal gains, and you'll be fine, my friend. Raf Gekas asks, can the incline bench press count as a max PR record? Of course. You can max out on any benching variation, okay? This is what I do on a weekly basis. When I do max effort work, each week I change the variation. Now it can be a complete swap of the movement, or it could be like a slight adjustment to that lift, but I'm never repeating it every single week because I plateau doing that, okay? At least on a concurrent setup. So you can do the same thing. For example, week 1, regular bench. Week 2, close grip bench with a pause. Week 3, incline bench. That's fine. So you can max out on different variations. The same thing goes for lower body. The same thing goes for any movements. Okay? If you're looking for general strength and you want carryover as well, the incline bench will definitely help you in doing that. So I see nothing wrong with doing this. Have personal records for a variety of different lifts. Have a PR for a squat. Have a PR for a pause squat. Have a PR for a bunch of lifts and raise them simultaneously, and eventually you just got records left and right. Then you go back to test your classical lift, just shot up like crazy without barely having to do it. Knife Tricks asks, yo Alex, I surpassed the novice phase, but I didn't gain any noticeable size. What the hell is going on? Well, did you surpass the novice phase? That's what I want to know. Did you milk all of your linear gains? What are your numbers looking like? What's your weight? What's your height? Let's think about that. Chances are you did gain a good amount of muscle, but you're suffering from body dysmorphia, my dude, because you watch too much YouTube fitness or internet stuff in general. I bet if you stood next to an average guy, you would look pretty damn good in comparison. Hell, even standing next to me, I bet you would look good. After novice phase, you're going to gain around 70 to 80% of your size. Your first 1 to 2 years of lifting, you gain a lot of muscle mass, man. So either you hit the novice phase or you didn't. Now, it's possible your genetics aren't as good. You could be one of those max tuning types. And if that's you, I am sorry to hear that, my man. It's just going to take you a little bit longer to get that physique on point. But don't give up and recognize that you probably look better than you realize. So my advice is to look at some older photos. I've been there, man. I've been there where it's like, man, am I even making progress? You look in the mirror, it's like, oh, I look the same. But the thing is, you're looking at yourself in the mirror every single day. So it's not like you're going to see the changes if it's that frequent. Have before and after pictures ready. Have muscle measurements ready. It's possible you're just making slow progress, but the gains are still being made. So I would say as long as, it sounds to me like you are making strength gains, so keep doing that. And just recognize that eventually you will yield the results. What kind of cardio do you do nowadays, bruh? What kind of cardio do you personally recommend? How often? How long? Well, I do the Bass Rutin 30-minute boxing rounds twice a week. So Monday's my intensity day. Tuesday, I do the GPP, neck connective tissue work, which is the Bass Rutin in this case. Thursday, volume day. Friday, same thing as Tuesday, okay? I was cutting. I was also doing a lot of cardio, like jogging every single day type deal. And I still recommend that, okay? But ideally, you should be moving your body every single day. Brisk walking works fine. 20 to 90 minutes appears to be ideal, okay? But low intensity, nothing strenuous. It's not a workout. It's just to get some movement in and get your heart rate up a little bit, okay? So that's what you should be doing. And high intensity, depending on your routine, I would say like twice a week is more than enough, But some might bump it up to 3 or 4 times, but I think twice is good personally. And I would just say do a cardio activity of your choice. Whatever best suits your goals and recovery, give that a shot. Ebo Shibo asks, you said in one of your videos that training to failure is not a good thing, even though on high volume days it's impossible not to get tired after crazy sets like 6x10, 10x10, etc. Do I just lower the weight enough to get those sets completely? I would not recommend lowering the weight. You want to choose something beforehand that you know you can succeed in getting the 10x10, just as it's going to be challenging, all right? Like I did 115 pounds, 10x10 overhead press a few months ago, and it was very challenging. And after the 5th set, you really start feeling it, but I just grinded it out. And the thing with me is I increase the rest intervals a little bit. You kind of have to do that sometimes, especially if it's in a wave. Like if you're going to do 95, 105, 115, a 3-week wave like that, you might have to rest a little bit more because it is quite challenging and it's not easy. So I would first increase the rest intervals before dropping the weight down and ensure by the end of it, you're either reaching failure or you're very, very close to hitting it, but you still got a little bit more reps in the tank. All right. Like you should, after doing a 10x10, you should have enough energy to do some other presses right after. Of course, you're going to be drained and your numbers are going to go down significantly, but you should still have a little bit of energy. So the secret is to pick a weight that is not outside of your capabilities. Simple as that. So I would opt for increasing the rest a little bit before dropping the weight. But if it really is too heavy, then maybe you're going to have to do that. So the secret is to find out weights that you know you're going to hit before you attempt it. Okay, now I have a question by Simon Dean. He's asking how he should compare to his father, who is very jacked and strong at the same age as him. And he wants to know if he's going to reach a similar level. So it's an interesting question, and I want to tackle on that. So the thing is, you take from both your mother and your father. You're not going to be a freaking clone. But I will say that if your father had amazing genetics, you probably inherited some aspects of that as well. And it seems to me like you're already a pretty strong guy. You already have a good amount of muscle mass, so you're doing good in itself. Now, you may not be as jacked as your dad, but maybe also you didn't start as early, or you weren't as dedicated compared to him. Or he simply has a little bit better genetics from you, and maybe you took some worse genetics from your mother. I'm not a science expert in regards to this, but I do know that you take your fair share. Like, I know that in my case, my dad used to do bodybuilding when he was younger. Not competitive, but he used to train with all the major guys at Gold's Gym, actually, in California. And he had a really good physique. He was a lot more muscular than me, actually. 100% natural, of course. Much bigger arms, much bigger back, and freakishly huge legs and crazy calf genetics. To this day, he still has massive calves. I would say they're between 18 and 19 inches easily. And he has massive legs, pretty similar to a natural bodybuilder, but he never even trains them anymore. He does bodyweight squats, and he walks outside with his dogs, all right? So that's genetics, and I think I did inherit a lot of that. My legs were one of the first body parts to grow when I first started training them, and I always knew, like from the beginning, that I had good leg genetics. But the arms, I wasn't so lucky. Another thing, too, is that he wasn't a very strong guy. I mean, he was more so intermediate level strength. So I definitely surpassed him in terms of strength, but his size was definitely ahead of mine. So you do take. I know I took some back and some leg from him, but not all. Whereas my mother was more so the flexible type. She was also very athletic, gymnast when she was younger, did competitive swimming as well. So you get a little bit of a blend. So your father will be a good sign. Like, look at C.T. Fletcher's son, for example. He's making some killer gains. I mean, if your dad was a beast when he was young, chances are you're going to be a beast too. Just maybe not to the same extent, because you have to factor in the whole picture here, but I think you can get a great body. And I'm just speaking off what I believe to be true as well as my personal experience. So I hope that was insightful, man. Salman Han. Is it Han or Khan? I'm always confused about that. Alex, I want to follow naturally enhanced, but my goals are purely for bodybuilding. Lifting big numbers is my concern. Instead of an intensity volume day, can I just do 2 volume days for maximum hypertrophy? Well, the system is ideal when you run it as written. Volume day, intensity day, that's how it works best. But if you don't want to do that, you just want 2 volume days, it's going to work. But maybe you should refrain from using the twice a week template. Perhaps the 3 times a week template will suit you more. We do a Monday, Wednesday, Friday, but instead of doing heavy, light, medium, as you see in that template, you can do like a slightly less heavier day. So maybe you're working with reps of 6 to 8 as opposed to doing 1 rep max and 3x3 and stuff like that. Your light day will remain the same, then your volume day would still be full-blown balls to the wall. So this way you're still lifting a little bit heavy, but it's moderate weight. It's not as light compared to your actual light day and volume day. And I think this might suit you more as a bodybuilder who doesn't care about developing max strength. So that's my advice for you. I have no doubt it's going to work amazingly well. Juan Castano asks, Hey Alex, un coucou depuis ma caserne militaire en Suisse. Une question que je me pose, est-ce que le overpress serait l'équivalent du deadlift pour le haut du corps? Depuis que je m'entraîne en 3x5 dessus, je suis épuisé après et ma séance est peu productive. Merci. Well, my friend, I'm going to answer in English because people probably don't know what the hell I just said for the upper body. You're asking, is the overhead press a deadlift for the upper body type deal? I would say so. In a sense, we can argue that. A lot of people say that the deadlift is just brute strength, and it's obviously an amazing full body movement. Overhead press, usually there's not going to be a huge leverage advantage. Like, you can't be arching your back like crazy or stuff like that. And tends to be more of a brute force type of lift, okay? And of course, you're engaging the entire kinetic chain. You're standing up, and it's a very athletic movement. So from that perspective, I would say it's quite comparable in a sense. And a lot of guys, that's actually how they do train. I know Bill Starr was a massive believer in this philosophy of doing overhead press, and then obviously your heavy pulls and your squats and all that. And then to supplement the overhead press training, you would just do weighted dips. So it's quite athletic. I like it. You can even just do stuff like push presses. Maybe that would be more of an equivalent type movement like you're suggesting here. But definitely, yeah, I think overhead is a brute force lift, and it's comparable to the deadlift in that way. Definitely. It's also dead stop because you're not unracking from the top unless it's like the seated version usually. So it's pause in the chest, explode from nothing, brute force. It's quite comparable in that sense, yeah. Official Sultan asks, when was spot Fat reduction debunked. I used to see myths and articles all saying you can do spot reduction, but in recent months I'm seeing a shit ton of people saying spot reduction is a myth, yet they include no studies or factual information. Well, it's a good point on not including studies, but the thing is you lose fat synergistically, and you can't really target a specific area per se. You can increase the muscle mass in that area to make it look leaner from an illusion standpoint, and obviously bigger muscles automatically make you look more badass and lean, so that's a benefit right there. But you're not actually burning off the fat. Like if I do a lot of curls and I'm 20% body fat, I'm not obviously going to have super strided arms. Like you got to lose body fat as a whole to accomplish that. Now, there are some recent studies coming out saying that it might be possible, but it's very limited, and we don't have enough data to suggest that that's actually true. So it might be, but I think the general consensus is that you just got to lose weight as a whole to get the definition that you want. So if you go from 20% body fat to 10% body fat, well, that's what's going to make you look lean, you know? And that's what's going to reveal your six-pack and your obliques and all that. You just got to get lean enough. George Eleftherioutis asks, which buffet is the best during cutting phases? Well, I don't really recommend frequenting the buffet that often if you're following a cut. I mean, you could do your cheat days and all that, and you're still probably going to be fine, but it's better to just keep it clean, especially when you go to places like that. It's very rich in calories, and you're typically going to overdo it. Now, I will say, I did go to a buffet with a friend once who was cutting, trying to get shredded, and he was actually planning on competing. He never did compete, though, but he still got really lean, and he was just having lean meats and vegetables. I was having a bunch of ramen and rice, and I was really loading on the carbs. He was pretty much doing keto, if you will. So he did like a keto style buffet, and he didn't eat that much either because a lot of these foods were very satiating. So he wasn't in this massive surplus, whereas I was. So if you're going to be going to a buffet with some friends, or you're just like going there and that's the thing, clean up the macros a little bit and eat the cleanest source that you could find. And moderate your intake of food, you know, and stay away from the empty calories and stuff like that. Omega Fawn asks, I can do barbell back squat. Do you think Zercher squat is a good alternative? Okay, so for whatever reason, maybe you have a cervical disc issue, or there's something going on. You can't do it. You want a Zercher? You're going to be fine, man. You're going to pack on a ton of muscle in your legs. In fact, the original version of Naturally Enhanced was only about front squats and Zercher squats. There was nothing else. There was no high bar. I didn't even give you the choice to do that, okay? That was the first edition. So you'll be fine in this regard. You'll build your back to an amazing extent. You're going to build a lot of core strength. Just alternate between those two and mix up the variations, you know? So do different variations of that. Hit some accessories for the posterior chain. Hammer in some deadlifts as well. And boom, complete. Nothing to worry about, my friend. Front squats, Zerchers, they're both fantastic. You don't have to put a barbell on your back, especially if you're bodybuilding, okay? Dark Vader 37 asks, box squat or normal squat for a more explosive jump? Well, both will help you out tremendously in that regard, but if I can only pick one, I'd have to favor the box squat for the simple reason that you're breaking up the eccentric concentric chain. And this helps a lot with making you more explosive, especially if you're going to do speed waves like dynamic effort methods with bands. Now, if you're trying to get optimal carryover, you're better off doing a free squat, maybe throwing in like a narrow stance box squat on the side type deal, okay? But if your goal is just general athletics, explosiveness, rate of force development, you know, you want to do a lot of dynamic effort work, I think the box squat will actually be better in that regard. Sheldon Julius asks, have you ever experimented with stomach vacuums, bullshit or legit? Will it result in a smaller waist while being at the same weight? Yes, if you're in a higher body fat, you do a lot of stomach vacuums, your waist will actually decrease in size. And a good channel you can look up to for this is the Hungarian Experiment. He did tummy vacuums for a long period of time, and his waist shrunk significantly despite not losing body fat. Okay? So tummy vacuums will enhance your aesthetic look. And it's one of the secret strategies I talk about in Naturally Enhanced. It's an illusion technique to make you appear leaner than what you actually are, which is why it's so beneficial for bare mode individuals to be doing the vacuums. So they're absolutely legit, and it's a badass look. If you want to have those ripped abs, at least you could do a nice vacuum. So it looks cool, right? Then he asks about overeating during stressful times and all that. I mean, look, if that's a situation for you, why not own it? If you're really that stressed out during your exams and you're eating more food, what's the worst that could happen? The exam period is not that long. Maybe you'll gain a little bit of weight. So what? You'll have better recovery for the gym. Think of the positives rather than the negatives. You might get a little bit more bloated. If you're lean right now, you're probably going to put a little bit of fat, but your recovery in the gym is going to be better, especially if you're not sleeping as much. Think about this. Think about this now. You're studying a lot for your exams, so you're probably not getting as much sleep in. And you're more stressed. Recovery is subpar. Isn't it better to be in a surplus during this time period compared to a calorie deficit? Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. So I say own it. I can't just tell you to stop being stressed. I can't just say don't be stressed. It's not going to work. I can give you some recommendations, some things that you can do to be more peaceful. But at the end of the day, if exams are stressing you out, just own it, man. Accept it for what it is. Eat more food. Enjoy the extra recovery. Make some additional strength gains. And then once that's done, you can do a little mini cut and you'll be fine. So I wouldn't worry about it, my man. Ben Postel asks, hey Alex, do you recommend bench press with bands as a max effort lift? People were weak off the chest. I definitely recommend that variation. And you can include that as a part of your exercise rotation when benching, okay? So feel free to do this as much as you want. It's about synergy. It's about the entire routine. I don't believe in this black and white thinking of just do, say, pause bench, for example. You can include all the variations if you choose to, as long as it's working for you. Now, that said, that variation itself, is it the best way of building bottom strength? Probably not. You'd be better off just doing a regular pause bench or even a dead bench. I think the dead bench is the best thing you could do for this purpose. So between those two lifts, I think that's going to be most beneficial. Maybe even the incline pause bench or incline close grip with a pause. But you can still do band presses on a weekly basis if you choose to. They will definitely raise your raw bench. Mohammed Ahmed asks, what do you guys think of the naturally enhanced program, but without the intention of getting fat? Just want to build up those key muscles at a 250 to 500 kcal surplus. You're perfect. So you're focusing on the 6 essential muscle groups. You're in a very small surplus. No problems. You will get all the gains that you wanted from the program. In fact, you're going to gain weight from that. The thing is, too, when I talk about the body fat section, right, it's 15-20%. That's my recommendation, which is not fat. And it also means that you can choose where you want to stop. You don't have to be fat to run the system. In fact, you can recomp quite effectively using the program. In fact, in 2016, which is the year that I made some of the best gains of my life, I maintained a body weight of 180, 181 for the entire year. I was always maintaining by using some of the recomping strategies that you've seen me discuss in some of my older videos. Maybe I got to make some updated segments on that. So you can definitely use naturally enhanced for superior recovery. It works great for recomping, and of course, in a surplus, even better gains. So there's no requirement of getting fat. Hey Alex, what would be an example for GPP work and naturally enhanced? 20-30 minutes of rotating bodyweight exercise like push-ups, dips, lunges, like Brian Alsruhe. Greetings. Yep. The Brian Alsruhe circuit workouts are pretty much perfect for GPP. So if that's what you want to do, if you want to go straight to his website, straight to his channel and copy what he's doing there, that's going to complement naturally enhanced in a perfect way. Like, I would actually encourage you guys to do that. Definitely. That is a fantastic idea. Some people, they specialize more in the calisthenics. Others are going to do more basic type movements like farmer walks or bear hug walks or walking lunges or just sandbag stuff. Whatever you like to do, feel free. Again, they're just basic little workouts to increase your work capacity and just conditioning as a whole. So it doesn't have to be complicated, my friend. Ali Amer asks, do you think teens need to follow a diet and count macros when they start working out? No, I don't think they have to do that. If they just eat clean as a whole and ideally be in a calorie surplus, but even maintenance will work, they're going to gain strength and size just fine, especially since they're novices, okay? Most of them anyway. So I don't think you have to count, but it is a good habit to learn at a young age. If you want to start doing that, it'll give you a greater perspective as to what you're actually putting into your body. But you don't have to be crazy about macros. You don't have to be crazy about any of this stuff. Like, just eat a whole food, clean diet, make sure you're hitting a decent amount of calories. You can estimate if you choose to, and run a good program. You should be good. But if you want to really like nail everything down to a science, then you can use apps like Chronometer or MyFitnessPal, get everything on point. It's not going to be a problem either, but you don't need to be obsessed about food, in my opinion. Here's a question by Miriam D. She asks, hey Alex, I'm an 18-year-old female and I've been lifting for about a year and a half. I'm not making progress anymore. Moreover, I'm losing strength. Half a year ago, I was about 20% stronger than I am now. I haven't lost weight and I train 3 times a week. What do you think is the reason? Well, sounds to me like overuse and bad programming. If you're getting weaker, that is not a good thing. And it could also be that your diet, you're yo-yoing. So it's not consistent. Some days you might be in a huge deficit, other times in a surplus. It might be the sleep factor as well. In fact, I would highly suspect that might be the case. It could be lifestyle induced as well. It could be a lack of consistency. I don't have enough information to work with here. But if you're saying you were 20% stronger back then and now you've lost some strength, but you're still in a similar body weight, I don't know. It might also be the fact that you reverse recomped. So you lost muscle, gained fat, Hence why you're the same way. You see what I'm saying? So my advice is to really know what you're putting into your body. Get your diet in check. In this case, as opposed to the previous question, I would use chronometer and make sure that you're getting the adequate supply of calories, macronutrients, micronutrients. Hit everything on a daily basis and change your programming. Maybe you were an intermediate lifter as a female, right? And you tried going back to novice routine and it caused you to overreach. And now you're having all kinds of recovery problems. Change up the routine. Maybe you'll benefit from a concurrent periodization setup. All I can say is that your current routine is not working for you. If you're getting weaker while remaining the same body weight, that's not a good sign. So you really got to check yourself and make sure that everything is on point. So best of luck to you. Final question by Jim Russells. Hey Alex, I need to lose 40 to 50 pounds. I'm afraid of ending up with a lot of excess skin. Is there a way to minimize this? Cheers, man. Well, I never lost that much weight. The max I did was 26 pounds and there was no loose skin whatsoever. Okay, but then again, I was never obese. And I don't know, maybe if I was in the mid 200s, there would have been that effect. So I would ask the viewers, what is your input? Like if someone loses 40 to 50 pounds, are they going to have a lot of loose skin? I think 40, probably not. And 50, probably not either. But then again, you also got to factor in your starting point. Like if you're going from 350 pounds to 300, well, maybe then you're going to see a significant difference. Whereas if you're going from 200 to 150, then it's really not the same thing. So maybe that has to be factored in. At the end of the day, I can't speak off experience here. So that's why I'm turning to you guys, the viewers. I want to know, what do you think will happen to this man if he loses 40 to 50 pounds? Will there be loose skin? Will that occur? I don't know. So hope that helps you out, man. I hope you guys enjoyed this Q&A video. I'm telling you, there were a lot of questions, man. So put some more down below, and I'll talk to you all next week.